Okay, so now we have a pretty good working structure for our game, but it's now time for us to polish it up a bit and add some much needed transitional cues so that we know what's going on at each point in our game. A couple of decisions that I want to make right off the bat. Number one is, how big do I want each of my waves to be? Obviously it's not going to be just one number and each wave is going to be the same size. What I'd like is a progression where I'd start with, like, say 10 monsters in a wave and then move to 20 and then 30 and so on and so forth. So I know I'm making that decision where I'm not putting in actual numbers anywhere. Whatever I'm going to use is kind of a variable thing. So I know that, and also I need to know how many waves that I'm going to want for the game. And for example purposes, I feel like 3 is a good number, so we're going to do 3. I would actually encourage you to do more than that. It's going to make your game much more interesting to have a few different waves and levels that you can go to with it. But either way, for the purposes of the example, I'll show you how it works. Now, the first thing we want to tackle is how we want our wave sizes to work. So what I want to do is I want to remember that we have this wave size set to 3. So if I play this game, because we had the extra monster already in our layout, I know we're going to get 4 sprites or 4 monsters in this level. So if I shoot the last one there, if you saw that little flicker on the screen, that basically means that the level restarted, or that the wave restarted, and I'm going to get another 4 before I get out of here. So what I want to do is I don't want to have that static size anymore, so I'm going to have my wave size set to 0 by default. And then in order to handle that number, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the onStart of layout, because you remember, when I'm done killing all the monsters, or when I'm starting the layout for the first time, that will probably be where I want to set up how many monsters I'm going to use. And that number is again controlled by wave size. So I'm on the start of the layout. I'm going to go into System, and I'm going to say Set Value, and I'm going to add to wave size. And what I'm going to add to wave size is I want to start with 10 monsters, but each time I level up, I want to go to 20 and then 30 and then 40 and so forth. So the way I accomplish that is I'm going to multiply that 10 times the wave number, which is just wave. So think about it like this. I'm going to start off at wave 1. 10 times 1 is 10, so I'm starting off with 10 just like I planned. The next wave will be wave 2. 10 times 2 is 20, so then I'll have 20. Wave 3 will be 30. Wave 4 will be 40, just like I wanted it. So that's basically all we have to do to accomplish that. So that was pretty quick and easy, and that gives us the wave size that we want. So now it's time to add some transitional cues, and no place to start like the beginning. So we're going to go ahead and add an action in our onStart of layout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there to System, and I'm going to create an object. And that object that I'm going to create is wave begin. And I'm going to create my wave begin on layer 2. Because if you remember, layer 2 is the HUD, right? And we want it to stay in the same spot on the screen. We don't want it to go anywhere. So we're going to leave it there. And the location that I'm going to put it at is window height divided by, or actually that's going to, X is going to be window width. So I have to start that again, divided by 2, and then I'm going to go window height divided by 2. And in past lessons, I've had to subtract the width and height of the object that I'm adding in order to center it on that center point. But I figured out I can just click done here, because I figured out a trick on this turn of events. If I click on my uWin, you can see that I put my hotspot in the center. And what that means is the center of my text is going to line up with the center of this point, which is the center of the actual window. So everything's all centered up. I don't need to subtract anything or do anything fancy. I'm all good to go from here. So what I want to do here is I want to bring this up closer to the top. I think I'll do the audio and all that first on the OnStart. Actually, I'll leave this here for a second. So now that I've figured out how I'm going to add some transitional cues, all that, I know what my wave sizes are going to be. What I want to do is I want to decide how many waves I'm going to have. And that's a simple number to decide, and you can always change it later. But you want to pick something good that's going to be a significant enough game that it's going to be interesting to play, but you don't want it to take hours because it's just, you know, an hour and a half class, right? So what we're going to do is in the start of the layout, we're going to check for the wave number. And the way we do that is I'm going to right click on this outermost part of that event, and I'm going to add a couple of sub events. And one is I'm going to add, and then I'm going to compare a variable, and I'm going to say if wave is greater than, and I'm going to use the number 3 for my number of waves. I'm going to do 3 waves for my game here just as an example. I would I kind of would encourage you to use more than 3, but that part of it's up to you. But definitely it's going to be a whole lot more interesting if you do more than 3. And I'm going to add another sub event, and that's going to be, I'm going to compare the variable wave again. And if that is less than or equal to 3. So those are the 2 conditions there. Now, if we're greater than 3, that means I've beaten the last wave, and I'm going to add some sort of a you win action here. So I can totally just put like a wait here, and I'll make that one, let's just do 1 second for that one. So I'm going to wait a second, and then I'm going to add my you win text, and I'll go back there. Actually, I want to do system create object, and I'm going to create my you win text on, again, layer 2. Make sure you're using layer 2, and window width, and again this one's centered up as well, so I can just go window width divided by 2 and window height divided by 2, and that should line up just perfect. And that does that for right now. Tricky part's going to be if I'm less than 3, I still have waves to implement. So what I want to do is I still want to wait a second before I do anything when I finish a wave. This is nice to wait and take a minute and say, hey, wait a second, you just did a wave, and we'll add beginning wave text here to make sure that we know that a new wave is starting. And so if wave is less than or equal to 3, that means a new wave is coming. I'm not putting my new my you win message out yet. So I'm going to create a new object, and it's going to be the wave begin text. Again, I'm putting that on layer 2, and I think we already created that, so I can actually just drag that down into 3, and I can also set my wave size to this only if I have another wave left to make. If I'm all done making waves, then I don't need to do this again. So this would not go in here. So the only 3 things that I have that aren't under one of these 2 conditions in the OnStarted layout is this thing for the monster. I want to set the tint. I want to disable the tint for the player as well, and I want my audio to play. Then if it's greater than 3, if wave is greater than 3, I'm going to create a you win. And if it's less than 3, I'm going to create a wave begin. Now the tricky part of the wave begin, the you win was easy because the text is already set for us. But with the wave begin, it is not, because it's variable. And so what I want to do is add another action there. And I'm going to take my wave begin text, and I'm going to set that text to something else. And what I want to do Let's say, let's go with wave, and then I'm going to put the variable wave, and then I'm going to put some more text. I'm going to say, what should I say? Let's go with beginning wave, and then I'll use wave, and actually that's good. And let's not forget to put the N there. So I'm beginning wave number. So if I'm on wave 2, it'll say beginning wave 2. So that's actually a good thing to have. And I'm going to put that right next to where I just created the wave. And then I can set my wave size after that. The other thing I want to do with this, and with both of these two actually, is I don't just want to put the text up there and just leave it there the whole time. Ideally, what I'd like to do is put it up there and leave it there for 2 seconds or so, and then make it go away. So what I'll do is I will create a wait, and I'll leave it up there for 2 seconds, and then I will destroy it. So wave begin, destroy. So let's go here. So basically I'm waiting. When the wave starts, I'm going to wait 1 second, create the text, the wave begin message, set the text on that message so that it lines up with what I want to say, wait 2 seconds, destroy it, and then set my wave size. And I'm all set to go to finish out that particular wave. With this one, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's take the 2 seconds and destroy. So I'm going to wait 1 second. I'm going to create my new win text or my uwin text. I'm going to wait 2 seconds, then I'm going to destroy that text. So the next thing I need to do is add a transition for when my wave is complete. And that's going to be down there because I know my wave is complete when I've killed all the monsters, thereby making monster.count less than or equal to 0. So what I'm going to do there is I put a 1 second wait on this one. I'm going to bump that. Actually, I'm going to leave it at 1. I'll leave that one at 1. And inside there, I'm going to I'll add an action that creates a new object, and that object is going to be the wave end object. Don't forget to add these on layer 2. Everything works out much better if you put it on layer 2, and that's going to be on window width. Window width and window height divided by 2 and done. So I'm waiting a second. I'm creating that. Then I'm going to wait around for a couple of seconds. Let's go 2 seconds there. Then I'm going to destroy. And that's it. So I'm going to wait a second, create my wave end. I definitely want to set the text. So let's go wave end, set text. And I'm going to set that one to, let's see, wave. And I'm going to put, and I'm going to use a variable wave. And I'm going to say it's complete. And I'll put an extra space there too. So even though we did have time to finish this one up, I'm going to have to show you how it works on the next video.